I've been a lawyer for 15 years and counting, and there are 5 types of properties you should never buy. If you buy them, you have just lost your money. It's like you carried your hard-earned money and then you dashed it to some people with no hope of getting it back. You're going to be surprised with what number 5 is. Now let's get started. The first is, don't buy properties that have no verifiable owner. You have to be sure of the identity of the person that owns the property. If I want to sell something to you, you want to be sure that I'm selling to you actually own it, and I am the one dealing with you. So you want to be sure of my identity. If you are buying a plot of land or buying a house or any form of property, you want to be sure that you know the identity of the owner of that property. Is it an individual that owns that property? Is it a company? Is it a family? Is it a community? Is it an organization, an NGO? Is it a group of people? Is it a cooperative? Who exactly are the owners? If you cannot verify who the owners are, trust me, you would be shooting yourself in the foot if you put your money to such property, because you cannot sell what is not yours, and it is tried in law. I can't transfer rights to you that I don't have. I cannot transfer rights of ownership to you when I don't have those rights of ownership. So it is very important that you verify who the owner is. You are sure about the identity of the owner of the property that you want to buy. All right, that is number 1. Now, number 2, and this is very, very important. Don't buy a property that is under dispute in court. If there is a case in court on the property that you want to buy and you have not yet bought it, then you should just stay clear. Why? You can never tell how the case would go. The person who is selling to you, yes, might say, oh, we're very sure we are the owners and we're going to win this case. But what is the assurance that you have that they are actually going to win the case? And do you really know how long it's going to take? We all know how currently the judicial system takes a while for you to be able to get judgment. And it's not even getting judgment at the High Court. They could finish the case at the High Court, and then the party that doesn't win says, oh, we are going to go to the Court of Appeal. And then they finish from the Court of Appeal, and then the party who wins, who loses again, says, we are going to appeal to the Supreme Court. Are you really willing to wait for all those years? As an investor, is it a smart move for you? All right, so that's number 2. A property that is under dispute is not a safe property to buy, except you've bought it already and you didn't know. And one of the ways you can know whether a property is under dispute, depending on the state, is for if you're buying a property that already has any form of structure on it. Usually, once a case is filed on it, the other party would the party in court would usually ask for an interlocutory injunction. So it's an injunction to stay, to hold the property in the state it is until the final determination of the case. And usually, the court officials will usually be ordered to go and write an inscription on the property. So if there's a fence on it or any form of structure on it, it will be written that this house or this property is under suit. The suit number will be written there. So you can easily know that this property is under litigation. There's a court dispute on this property, and then you want to stay clear because you don't know, it might go either ways. All right, that's number 2. That is this type of properties, you should never buy them. Number 3, properties with no proof of ownership. Now, remember that I said that number 1 is properties with no verifiable owners. Now, yes, you have been told that this property, these are the owners. So let's say, for instance, I'll use an example. A client of mine bought a property in an estate and is owned by we got the identity of the owners as 4 people. So there are 4 people who actually invested together and bought those plots of land, and my client was going to buy one. Now, it is not enough to establish the identity of those 4 people who owns the property. We also have to establish how they owned it, because I cannot just come to you and say, oh, I have this 600 square meters at Mega Mount Estate and I want to sell to you. It's mine. Next question is, what's the proof? All right. So you want to ensure that you have this proof of ownership. Don't buy a property that there's no proof of ownership. Now, proof of ownership can be in different ways, and you can own property in different ways. So let me run through some of the common ways by which people own property. I can own a property because I paid for it, I bought it. That's like the most common way of owning property. I can also own a property because it was gifted to me. Yes, that's another way of owning a property. I could inherit a property. All right, I can inherit a property. So these are some three common ways, although not exhaustible, of how people can own properties. Now, if I'm saying, okay, I own it because it was gifted to me, what is the proof? Usually, when a property is gifted from one person to another, there should be a deed of gift. All right, the law is straight. When it comes to buying, dealing in real estate transactions should be documented and it should be transferred via a deed, whether you're making payments where you bought it or it's a gift where you're not paying anything for it. So there has to be a gift. If you bought it, there will be a deed of assignment or a deed of conveyance. I have a video where I talk about real estate documents. I'll leave the link in the description below and I urge you to check it out. All right, so there has to be proof. If I bought it, okay, I'm showing you and saying, okay, I have this deed of assignment or or a deed of conveyance, actually proving, yes, that I bought it. If it was gifted to me, I have a deed of gift showing that. If I inherited it, okay, do I have a letter of administration to that effect, or do I have did I inherit it and there was a will? Has the will been proven? All right, so it's very important. You have to sort all this out. Not sorting this out, if you just take your money and put it in such real estate, trust me, it has gone. Absolutely. So it's very important. Don't buy a property that there's no proof of ownership. The person selling to you cannot prove to you that this is how I got to own this property. And in this scenarios, there are many scenarios. So the best bet would be to reach out to a lawyer to help you look through whatever documents they have, look through whatever proof they have, and then they're able to advise you. Now let's go to number 4. Property acquired by government. Yes, property acquired by government. Do you want to fight the government? Now let me give us a little backstory so that we really understand how land acquisition comes about. So we know that land is a very important factor of production. Land is a key thing that matters to every economy, because real estate, land houses a lot of things. It houses where we live, it houses hospitals, it houses the public amenities that we use. So usually the government has to acquire land for public purposes. So the Land Use Act is right that if the governor of a state is going to acquire land, it has to be for public purposes. All right, so that's how we come about land acquisition. Now, if you go ahead and buy a property that has been acquired by the government, and at the time when you were buying it, it was already acquired, I'm sorry, that's a totally wrong move, because you lose your money and you won't have a cause of action against the government. The only instance where you will have a cause of action and then you can go to court against the government is if you were already legally an owner, and then the government now comes thereafter to acquire it. In that instance, the Land Use Act prescribes that compensation has to be paid. You have to be given notice personally, all right? But by the time you bought it, it had already been mapped out that it is acquired, and which is why doing due diligence and carrying out your necessary searches is important. Then the government owes you nothing. I'll leave a link also to a video I made more detailed on due diligence and searches to carry out. So you don't buy property that is acquired by government. Now let me also add that in Lagos State, we have two types of acquisition. So we've got the committed acquisition and an uncommitted acquisition. Committed acquisition means the government has acquired this property and specifically earmarked it for a particular project. So for instance, the government acquires a plot of land in Ibeju, not usually a plot of land, it's usually a large expanse of land, maybe for an hospital, or the government has acquired it for a school or for the local government secretariat, for public purposes. That's committed acquisition. Now, uncommitted acquisition means the government has acquired the land, but they have not necessarily said this is specifically what we would be using this particular portion of land to do. So that's uncommitted. Now, if you want to buy real estate in Lagos, when we usually run our checks, we are able to know whether it's committed or it's uncommitted. So committed acquisition is a no-no. Uncommitted acquisition, you can go ahead because you can regularize, but you want to be sure. So either ways, ensure that you talk to a lawyer to help you sort this out. And number 5, and this is going to be very surprising. Don't buy a property that you have not inspected, that you don't know what it looks like. Yes, I know you're already thinking, oh well, it's right. Everybody should know that. But in some instances, some people are constrained by distance. Those in diaspora who cannot afford to come down to Nigeria, and they start looking for properties, and the only time they could just take is to come and close the deal. So what you can do in that instance is to get your trusted family, friends, or realtors to also offer that, to do a video inspection for you. As a matter of fact, at our law firm, we've had requests from our clients in diaspora who have requested us to also offer that kind of service. So we do a video inspection of the road leading to the place, of the area, if it is land, if it is a house, of the facilities, like a very detailed video. So although you're not there physically, but I mean, thanks to technology, you can have an idea of exactly how the property looks like. And trust me, it's very important. Why do I say so? When you buy a property, when you buy a house, let's say for instance, you are buying a house at number 1 Chevron Drive. What you are buying is not just that house at number 1 Chevron Drive. You're buying the neighborhood. You're buying the environment. What's the drainage like? What's the neighborhood like? What are the facilities? It's the same thing when you're buying land, okay? So you want to be sure that you have an idea of what exactly you're buying. You're not going to be buying something that you don't know what it looks like, because it's real estate, it's fixed. If I buy a car, for instance, and they show me the picture, once I finish buying it out, I'm driving it out of the showroom. Real estate, you can't carry it. So basically, you want to be sure that you see, before you commit more payments, you've seen what you want to buy and exactly fits what you want. All right, I hope this video has been super helpful. If it has been, make sure to like and subscribe, and I have other videos for you that would help you on the questions to ask when you want to buy real estate, the step-by-step guide to buying real estate, so that you can avoid getting scammed and losing your money. I will leave the link in the description box below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.